Todd Meadows, a young fisherman who had only recently stepped into the spotlight through the world-famous reality series Deadliest Catch, has tragically died at the age of just 25 after a devastating accident at sea, and the heartbreaking story behind his final moments is sending shockwaves through the fishing community and fans of the show around the world. The tragedy unfolded on February 25, 2026, in the unforgiving waters of the Bering Sea, one of the most dangerous fishing grounds on Earth. Todd Meadows was working aboard the commercial crab fishing vessel Aleutian Lady, doing what he had done many times before, battling the cold, the waves, and the brutal demands of one of the toughest jobs in the world. For many people who have watched Deadliest Catch, the danger of crab fishing might seem dramatic but still distant. It's easy to forget that the storms, the exhaustion, the injuries, and the risks shown on television are not scripted. They are real. Every single season, fishermen head into the Bering Sea knowing that one mistake, one slip, or one unexpected moment could change everything. On that cold February evening, what started as a routine day of fishing quickly turned into a nightmare. Todd Meadows was on deck with the rest of the crew as they worked through their normal operations. Crab fishing is physically exhausting work. Crew members haul massive steel crab pots that can weigh hundreds of pounds each. The deck is constantly wet, often covered with ice, and the boat is always moving, rocking and shifting with the waves. One moment of lost balance can be enough to send someone overboard. At some point during operations, Todd Meadows went into the water. The moment someone goes overboard in the Bering Sea, time becomes the most critical factor. The water temperature is only slightly above freezing. Hypothermia can begin almost immediately. In some cases, a person may only have minutes before their body starts shutting down. The crew instantly realized what had happened. A man-overboard situation is one of the most terrifying emergencies fishermen can face. Training kicks in immediately. Every crew member knows what to do, but that knowledge doesn't make the moment any less frightening. The crew of the Aleutian Lady rushed into action, launching an urgent rescue effort in the middle of the open sea. Despite the chaos and dangerous conditions, the crew managed to pull Todd Meadows out of the water within roughly 10 minutes. But when they brought him back onto the deck, something was terribly wrong. He was unresponsive. In the middle of the freezing ocean, miles away from medical help, the crew did everything they could. Emergency life-saving procedures began immediately. The men who had been working beside him only moments earlier were now fighting desperately to bring him back. On fishing boats, crew members often become each other's lifelines. They trust one another with their safety every day. Watching a crewmate lying motionless on the deck is a nightmare no fisherman ever wants to face. The crew attempted resuscitation efforts, refusing to give up. But despite everything they tried, their efforts were unsuccessful. Todd Meadows was pronounced dead shortly afterward. The vessel later made its way toward Dutch Harbor, Alaska, carrying not only the weight of the loss, but the emotional devastation of what had just happened. For the crew of the Aleutian Lady, the tragedy was almost impossible to process. Life aboard a crab boat is unlike any other job. Crew members spend long stretches of time together at sea, isolated from the rest of the world. They face extreme conditions together, push through exhaustion together, and depend on each other in dangerous situations. Over time, those bonds become something stronger than ordinary workplace relationships. They become a kind of brotherhood. Losing a crewmate doesn't just feel like losing a coworker, it feels like losing family. Captain Rick Shelford, who captained the Aleutian Lady, later shared a deeply emotional message about the loss of Todd Meadows. He described February 25th as the most tragic day in the history of the vessel. Even though Todd had only recently joined the crew, the captain explained that he had already become an important part of the team. Todd's energy, positivity, and determination had made an immediate impression on everyone on board. According to those who worked with him, Todd Meadows was the type of person who brought life to the deck. Fishing in the Bering Sea is exhausting work. Crew members often work up to 20 hours a day during intense seasons. They operate in freezing rain, brutal winds, and waves that crash over the sides of the vessel. Morale can make a huge difference during those moments. Todd was known for having a contagious smile. Even during the hardest shifts, he kept a positive attitude. His laughter could be heard echoing through the boat, sometimes coming up the wheelhouse stairs, sometimes drifting across the deck while the crew worked. That kind of spirit can transform the mood of an entire crew. Now that laughter is gone, but the memory of it remains with everyone who knew him. But the most heartbreaking part of Todd Meadows' story isn't just the loss felt by his crewmates, it's the family he left behind. Todd Meadows was a father to 3 young sons. Those children will now grow up without their dad, a reality that has deeply moved people across the fishing community and beyond. Friends and family describe Todd as someone who loved being a father more than anything else. Fishing in Alaska is dangerous, but it also offers the chance to earn good money during successful seasons. For many fishermen, the job is a way to support their families and create opportunities for their children. Todd was no different. Every long shift, every dangerous storm, every exhausting day on the boat was part of his effort to build a future for his kids. Friends say that when Todd talked about his children, his entire demeanor would change. The tough fisherman who could endure freezing winds and brutal storms would soften instantly when he mentioned them. He spoke about wanting to give them a better life, wanting them to grow up proud of what their father did for a living. After news of his death began spreading, supporters quickly organized a fundraising effort to help Todd's children and support the family during this unimaginable loss. The response from the public was overwhelming. People from across the fishing industry, fans of Deadliest Catch, and even strangers who had never met Todd contributed messages of sympathy and financial support. Many described the tragedy as a heartbreaking reminder of the sacrifices fishermen make every day. Todd's father, Lucas Meadows, later spoke about the deep connection his son had with the ocean. According to Lucas, Todd grew up surrounded by fishing. He began going out on boats with his father when he was only 3 years old. For some families, that might sound surprising, but in fishing communities, it's not unusual. Children often grow up around docks, boats, and harbors. They hear stories about the ocean, about storms and catches, about the excitement and hardship of life on the water. For Todd, those early experiences turned into a lifelong passion. Fishing wasn't just a job to him, it was part of who he was. Lucas described his son as someone who always had a smile on his face. No matter how difficult the day was, Todd remained positive. He loved being on the water and loved the sense of purpose that came with the work. Before eventually joining the Aleutian Lady, Todd had spent years working on charter fishing boats in Washington state. Those years helped him develop the skills and resilience needed for commercial fishing. Working on charter boats meant long hours guiding customers, preparing gear, navigating changing conditions, and learning every detail of life on the water. Some days were calm and peaceful, with glassy water and bright skies. Other days were rough, with wind whipping across the surface and waves crashing against the hull. Through it all, Todd learned how to adapt. He learned patience, he learned discipline, and most importantly, he learned respect for the ocean. But Todd had bigger ambitions. Eventually, he made the leap into the intense world of Alaskan crab fishing, the same world that had captivated millions of viewers through Deadliest Catch. The Bering Sea crab fishery is legendary. Every season, fishermen face storms that can produce waves taller than houses. The cold can freeze sea spray into thick layers of ice across the deck. The work never seems to stop. Crews haul hundreds of heavy crab pots, stack them across the deck, bait them, drop them into the water, and pull them back up again and again. Fatigue becomes constant, sleep becomes rare, and the pressure to bring in a successful catch weighs on everyone aboard the vessel. Yet, despite all of this, fishermen return season after season. The sense of accomplishment, the adrenaline of the work, and the camaraderie between crew members create an experience that few other professions can match. Todd Meadows had stepped into that world with determination and enthusiasm. He was beginning to build a reputation as a hard-working deckhand who wasn't afraid of the challenges.
Older crew members reportedly respected his work ethic. Even though he was younger than many fishermen around him, he never complained about the difficult tasks. If anything, he embraced them.
That determination had also led him toward the television cameras of Deadliest Catch. For more than 2 decades, the series has documented the lives of crab fishermen in the Bering Sea. Unlike many reality shows, Deadliest Catch built its reputation on authenticity. The storms shown on screen are real, the injuries are real, the exhaustion is real. Viewers have watched captains navigate through terrifying weather, seen crews celebrate record catches, and witnessed the emotional toll of life at sea. Over time, fans have formed deep connections with the fishermen featured on the show. Captains and deckhands became familiar faces in millions of homes. Todd Meadows was just beginning his journey in that world. He had only recently joined the crew connected to the series, meaning many fans were only starting to learn about him. Now, the thought that viewers may soon see him appear on screen, knowing what ultimately happened, adds an emotional weight that few expected. The tragedy has also reopened conversations about the dangers of commercial fishing. Despite improvements in safety training and equipment, fishing remains one of the most dangerous professions in the world. The combination of heavy machinery, unpredictable weather, freezing temperatures, and physical exhaustion creates constant risk. Every fisherman knows someone who has been injured, lost overboard, or worse. The ocean demands respect, and even the most experienced crews understand that it can turn deadly in an instant. For the crew of the Aleutian Lady, the loss of Todd Meadows will forever be part of their story. Every boat develops its own history over the years: victories, close calls, unforgettable catches, and sometimes tragedies. Those memories become part of the vessel's identity. In fishing culture, crewmates who pass away are never forgotten. Their stories are shared among crews, their names remembered whenever fishermen talk about seasons past. Todd Meadows will now be part of that legacy. His crewmates will carry his memory with them every time they step onto the deck. For fans of Deadliest Catch, the tragedy is also a sobering reminder. The show might be entertainment for viewers at home, but for the fishermen involved, it is their real life. Every storm filmed by the cameras represents genuine danger. Every wave crashing over the railings represents the raw power of the ocean. And every season, the fishermen head out knowing the risks. Todd Meadows was one of those fishermen, a young man with dreams, responsibilities, and a deep love for the sea. He was a father who wanted to provide for his children, a son who grew up learning the traditions of fishing, a crewmate who brought laughter and positivity to the people around him. His life ended far too soon, but the impact he had on those who knew him will continue. His children will grow up hearing stories about the father who worked hard and chased his passion on the open ocean. His crewmates will remember the moments they shared on deck, the long shifts, the conversations, the laughter carried by the wind across the boat. And the fishing community will remember Todd Meadows as one of their own, a young fisherman who faced the challenges of the Bering Sea with courage. The waves of the ocean will keep moving. The crab boats will continue heading out into the cold Alaskan waters. New crews will take their places on deck, chasing the same demanding work that has defined generations of fishermen. But the story of Todd Meadows will remain, a reminder of both the beauty and the danger of life at sea. A reminder of the bravery required to work in one of the harshest environments on Earth. And, most importantly, a reminder that behind every fisherman is a human story, a life filled with family, dreams, and memories that matter far beyond the ocean. Make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more celebrity updates just like this.